I found a woman in my apartment. She says she used to live here, but I never moved out. I honestly don't know where else to go. Reddit, I need help. I need someone to tell me this is normal, or that I'm not completely losing my mind. Last night I got home from work around 8. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of the city. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I've lived here for 2 years. The landlord's name is Greg. The neighbor upstairs plays the violin badly at 2 a.m., and the faucet in the kitchen squeaks every time I turn it off. Everything was normal, until I unlocked my front door. There was a woman standing in my living room. Just standing there. Not rummaging, not hiding. She looked like she belonged. Like she was waiting for me. My first thought was, intruder. My second? She looks familiar. She was around my age, late 20s. Hair in a braid. Pale. Wearing a sweatshirt. I swear I owned it. I said, "Who are you?" and reached for my phone. She didn't flinch. She just whispered, "You're not supposed to be here." I asked her if she was lost, if she needed help, and she said, "No, this is my apartment." I told her I lived here. I showed her my mail, my ID, even the damn lease, and then she said something that made my blood run cold. But I died here 3 months ago. I kicked her out, obviously. Called my landlord, who said he didn't recognize the name she gave me. I called the police, but she was gone by the time they arrived. No sign of forced entry. Nothing stolen. They said it was probably a break-in by someone mentally unstable. That I almost believed that, until I found the photograph, taped to the inside of my closet door. Of me and her, standing together, smiling. I in this apartment, part 2. I confronted my landlord. He said something that made my stomach drop. This morning I went to Greg, the landlord. I asked if he remembered renting the apartment to anyone named Lena Graves. The name the woman gave me. He shook his head at first, said he'd never rented to Alina. Then I showed him the photo. His face went pale, like bone white. He took the photo, looked at it for way too long, and then said, "She does look familiar, but I don't remember when." I asked him if she ever lived in the building. He just kept saying, "I don't know. Maybe. I've managed a lot of tenants." When I pressed harder, he suddenly changed the subject. Told me I shouldn't have let her in. That she's probably dangerous. That these things happen in the city. These things? What, women appearing in apartments they supposedly died in? Later that afternoon, I dug up some old boxes in my storage unit, just in case that photo was from somewhere else. Maybe I met her at a party? Maybe we were coworkers. But here's where it gets worse. That I found a birthday card. From her. To me. To my other half. "I'm so glad I found you in this life. Love, Lena." The date on the card is 6 months ago. I have no memory of her. None. Not the party. Not the card. Not the photo. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the box. Then I got a text. From an unknown number. "She's telling the truth. She did die. You're not who you think you are." Part 3. My coworker called me the wrong name. I don't think it was an accident, and I'm trying to act normal like everything's fine, but it's not. I haven't slept properly in 2 nights. I keep replaying that moment over and over. Lena in my apartment saying she died here. That photograph. The birthday card. That text message. I haven't replied to the number. It hasn't messaged me again. But today, something happened at work that sent a chill down my spine. I was getting coffee in the break room when one of my coworkers, Mar, walked in. We're not super close, but we chat now and then. I turned to say something and she said, "Hey Lena, could you?" Then stopped. Blushed. Sorry, I meant Leah. You just reminded me of someone." She left so fast it felt staged, like she realized she said too much. But here's the thing. Lena is not a common name. And I don't even look like her. At least, I don't think I do. I pulled up a mirror when I got home and stared at myself for what felt like forever. And now I can't stop wondering, what if I do look like her? What if I've always looked like her? What if that's why she showed up in my apartment? What if I'm not just living in her old place? What if I'm living her life? Part 4. I tried to find Lena's obituary. Instead, I found my own. I know how this sounds. I wouldn't believe me either. But I swear on everything I have left. This happened today. I started digging online, trying to find proof that Lena Graves ever lived in this building. A death record, a news article, anything. I scrolled through forums, obituary pages, even local police reports. There's no record of Lena Graves dying 3 months ago. But then I got desperate. I tried searching my own name, and I found this. Leah M. Hart, 29, passed away peacefully in her sleep at her residence, April 12, 2024. Same birthday. Same age. Same city. The photo attached. It's me. I thought it was fake. Some AI glitch, a bad data pull. Until I looked at the date. That's exactly 3 months ago. The same day Lena said she died. The same day the mystery number said, "You're not who you think you are." I printed the page. I checked the website. It's real. A real funeral home. And then I did something completely insane. I called the number listed. A woman answered. Soft voiced. I asked if they had any record for Leah Hart. She went silent. Then said, "I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't give that information out to the public." I said I was Leah Hart. She hung up. I'm sitting on my bed writing this, and my reflection in the mirror doesn't feel like mine. I keep blinking too much. My heartbeat feels wrong. I don't even know if I've always had that scar on my wrist or if I'm just now noticing it. If I died 3 months ago, then who the hell am I now? And what did Lena mean when she said, "You're not supposed to be here"? Part 5. I went back to the funeral home. I think someone there recognized me. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. I've just been scrolling through that obituary like it's going to rewrite itself if I stare long enough. I kept asking myself, what's more likely, that someone faked an obituary of me online? Or that something about my memory, my identity is fractured? So I went there. To the funeral home. I told myself it was for closure. But I think I just needed someone to look me in the eye and say, "No, you're alive. You're not crazy." I walked in and this old woman behind the desk looked up, and her face went completely still. "Can I help you?" I told her I was looking for records on a woman named Leah Hart. I said I was her cousin. She blinked, hesitated, then asked, "Are you sure you're not Leah?" I said no, but she didn't believe me. She leaned closer and said quietly, "They said you were cremated." My hands went cold. I don't even know how I stayed standing. I asked who they were. She paused, bit her lip, then said, "There was a man. Said he was your husband. Very calm. Paid in full. Brought your things. You had no other family on the paperwork." I asked for a name. She shook her head and said, "He said you changed it before you passed." She slipped me a sticky note before I left. Didn't say anything else. It had 2 words on it. "Ask Felix." That's my therapist. Someone I haven't seen in over a year. I didn't even remember telling her about him. Part 6. My old therapist just told me something I can't process. I think I was part of a clinical trial. I found his number. It rang twice and he answered like he'd been waiting for the call. "Leah?" His voice cracked as I said, "It's me, but I don't know who I am anymore." He was silent, then said, "I can't talk over the phone. Come in. I'll make time." So I did. Walking into his office felt like slipping into an old dream, familiar but off. The waiting room smelled the same, jasmine and leather. The pen at the front desk still had that bite mark I left once. It felt like my life was here. Just beneath the surface that I sat down, and he looked heartbroken. "They weren't supposed to release you yet." I didn't even know what to ask. And that's when he told me, a year and a half ago I had a severe dissociative episode, triggered by the death of someone I lived with, someone I loved. The records don't say who died. I was part of a closed therapy pilot, a trauma-based memory integration study, designed to help people process unbearable loss through identity reconstruction, supervised, structured, safe. But something went wrong. According to Felix, I insisted on moving back into my old apartment as part of the process, the place where it happened. I said I wanted to reclaim it. He said, "We were monitoring you remotely, but last month your case was abruptly closed. A private funder stepped in, removed your files, paid off your lease." I asked who. He said the name was redacted, but he thinks it was someone from my past. Someone who knew me before everything fractured. And then he said, "There's one more name that keeps coming up in your transcripts." He turned his computer around. One word. "Lena." Did I whispered. "She said she died here." He nodded. "Maybe she did, just not in the way you think." Part 7. I finally remembered what happened the night Lena died. And I think I know who I really am. I'm shaking as I write this. I didn't think I'd ever want to remember. But after I left Felix's office, something in me cracked open. I went home and pulled out the photo again, the one of me and Lena standing in the apartment. And I looked. Not just glanced. I really looked. And I realized I'm not smiling. Not fully. My arm is around her, but my fingers are curled tense, like I was holding on for dear life. And Lena's eyes? They're red. Not like she was crying, like she had been crying. And it hit me, this wasn't just some roommate photo. This was a goodbye. I opened the folder from Felix's email, my old therapy logs. Most of them were blocked out, but there were a few fragments. She said Lena left her. Refuses to accept that it was suicide. Her guilt is so strong she's rewriting the narrative. I dropped my phone. I couldn't breathe. Because now I remember. Lena wasn't my friend, she wasn't my roommate, she was my partner. We lived here, together, for 2 years. And we fought, so many times near the end, about her depression, about the way I hovered, about how she said I made her feel like she wasn't allowed to be in pain. I remember yelling. The night she locked herself in the bedroom. I found her the next morning gone. The guilt? It was unbearable. So I erased her. I moved out, started therapy, entered that trial, and I did something I didn't even know was possible. I convinced myself she wasn't mine, that she was a stranger, that I'd never loved her, that I didn't fail her, until 3 months ago when I was released too early, when someone stepped in and ended the therapy, when the memory started bleeding back. And then the Lena I erased, she showed up in my apartment. In my mind, trying to be heard. And now I remember everything. Part 8 final. I didn't forget her. I buried her. And someone brought her back. The text I got 3 months ago, the one that said she's telling the truth? It wasn't from a stranger. It was from Lena's sister. I found her. After digging through a box of Lena's old photos I'd hidden in my mom's garage. Photos I swore I'd thrown away. There was a contact card. Nina Graves. I texted the number. She responded in 2 seconds. "You're finally ready?" We met in a park. She brought coffee. She didn't hug me. She looked at me like I was a ghost. I asked why she messaged me. Why she triggered everything again. She said, "Because you promised to tell her story. And then you vanished. You disappeared like she never existed. You let her become nothing." I broke. Right there in public. On a bench next to a mom with a stroller. Nina handed me a small journal. Lena's. The last entry was the day before she died. "I know she's trying, but I feel like I'm pulling her down with me. I wish I could love her the way she deserves. But I'm drowning. And I don't want to take her with me." I whispered through tears. She didn't take me with her. I let her go alone. And Nina said, "So write it. Finally. All of it." So that's what I'm doing. This post. This story. This entire mess of memory and grief and identity. It's my apology. Lena. Myself. That I didn't die 3 months ago. Did I just stop being someone who could remember her without breaking? But I think I'm ready now. Remember the way she laughed when she danced barefoot. Remember how she used to trace patterns on my back when I couldn't sleep. Remember the fight. And the silence after. And to stop running from the guilt. Final thoughts. If you've ever loved someone who struggled and you lost them, know this: grief warps reality. Trauma rewires your brain. Sometimes we don't forget because we're weak. We forget because remembering hurts like hell. But the forgetting doesn't make you a monster. And remembering, that's how you love them again. Goodbye, Lena.